The time is now 7:01, and I call this March 9th, 2023 Borough Council meeting to order. I'm going to hold some additional comments on Women's History Month until later on in the evening, which you'll probably all clear out by then anyway. But you can watch it on Facebook. We begin with the moment of silence, and I know we're going to have a second moment of silence in a bit. So I'll just make this a very brief moment of silence for at the beginning of our meeting tonight. So if you all just please rise and join me in a brief moment of silence. And now the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam Secretary, the roll, please.
Mr. Hicks?
Here.
Deputy Mayor Landis?
Here.
Ms. Mellon?
Here.
Ms. Perry?
Here.
Mr. Stubbe?
Here.
Mayor Schultz?
Here.
Ms. Fisher-Henson?
Here.
Okay, thank you. And now presentations. Where's my white? Oh, it's not just a white shirt anymore. I was looking for another white shirt. Chief O'Donnell, please join me at the podium.
Good evening, everyone. Mayor, Deputy Mayor, Council, Borough Manager, and staff. Thank you for letting us have this opportunity to recognize some of the good work of our first responders here in Carlisle. Tonight, we will be honoring 4 area first responders with the Medal of Merit. Before we do that, I'd like to take a moment to remember on this day 3 years ago, Citizens Fire Company of Mount Holly Springs firefighter Jerome Geis lost his life while fighting a fire on the 1500 block of Boiling Springs Road on Monroe Township. A resident there also lost her life at that incident. Tonight, our thoughts and prayers are with the Geis family, friends, and our friends of Company 36 as they reflect on the loss of firefighter Geis. I ask for just take a moment to remember not just firefighter Geis, but the other about 100 firefighters that we lose every year in the line of duty. Thank you. At this time, I would now ask for the following award recipients. Please come forward. Matthew Boyce, Carlisle Fire and Rescue. Corporal Timothy Mayer, Carlisle Police Department. Eric Bender, Carlisle Barracks Fire Department. Ethan Dularis of the Carlisle Barracks Fire Department. We also had an unknown citizen that was involved with the rescue that we could not determine who that person was after a lot of effort. But we hope after tonight, if that person will come forward, we would like to recognize them as well. This award is given, the Medal of Merit is given to an individual in the course of their direct firefighting or rescue operations, performs acts of intelligent thinking and bravery while saving or attempting to save the lives of others with moderate to low risk themselves. On September 15th, 2022, Union Engine 241, Carlisle Fire and Rescue, Rescue 45 was dispatched at 14:29 hours for a vehicle accident with a person trapped on Interstate 81. First arriving chief arrived and found minor injuries and no entrapment. Carlisle units was placed available. Upon returning at 14:53 hours, Carlisle Fire Department, along with Carlisle Barracks Fire Department, was dispatched to 100 block of A Street, report of an apartment building fire. Police department arrived quickly, reporting smoke and fire visible with the burn victim on the front porch. Chief Hamilton, while responding to the incident, requested additional resources. We are fortunate that other members came to the fire stations and covered the backup apparatus for other responses. As units arrived, Engine 141 laid a supply line and started to stretch a hose line to attack the fire. Truck 45 set a ladder to the second floor and started the ventilation of smoke. The burn patient on the front porch was moved away from the structure and cared for by EMS. Carlisle Barracks Engine 38 arrived and assumed the rear position. The Rescue 45 crew returning from the accident was staffed with Chief Grimes and Firefighter Boyce. Chief Grimes went to assist on the initial hose line, and Firefighter Boyce did what is critical in all incidents, a 360 view of the structure. He observed that there was smoke was coming from and how it was traveling in the structure. As he was set to do a search of the building for any victims, he seen a father and infant baby hanging out of the window in distress on the Bravo side, which was the alley side of the building. Firefighter Boyce was concerned for their safety because they had no other way out. The smoke was pushing violently out of the third floor window. Firefighter Boyce, along with an unknown citizen, started to deploy ladders to the victim's window. As crew members from Carlisle Barracks Engine 38, Firefighter Boyce yelled out for their assistance. Firefighter Boyce ascended to the ladder to rescue the infant, and Assistant Chief Bender and other firefighters climbed the ladder halfway up to retrieve the infant. And Corporal Mayer and members of Company 38 secured the ladder while the rescue was in progress. They also removed the victim to a safe area until EMS arrived. Firefighter Boyce then brought the adult victim to the ladder and to safety. Neither the father or the son was injured. Firefighter Boyce and Engine 38 returned to search for additional victims in the building. With the quick reactions and the individuals being recognized and the teamwork across agency lines, this rescue was completed successfully. On behalf of the Carlisle Fire Department and the community that we serve, we are grateful for your quick actions that ultimately provide a positive result. We're also glad to report that the burn victim from the front porch of the fire department, had made a full and complete recovery. We are proud of all our first responders and support agencies that responded to the incident that day. Carlisle Fire Department, Carlisle Barracks Fire Department, North Middleton, Mount Holly Springs, New Kingston, Friendship Fire Company of Newville, Cumberland Goodwill, and Lifeline. And we had support from borough agencies, Carlisle Police Department, our Fire Police, Codes Department, and the Red Cross. Everyone played a part in the success of the rescue of the victims and contained the fire to one apartment. I would now ask for the members receiving the citations, please step forward and out front here so that you can be seen as you receive your citations. I'll now turn this over to the mayor for a presentation of the the Merit Citation Award.
You're not sure which way to face, so face the camera. It's I just want to say thank you to the three of you, really the four of you. I know one couldn't be here tonight, for your continued service and for being there that evening. And I know probably each of you would say that this isn't just you. This is everybody who had your back on the fire ground and was on their way to the fire ground to have your back. And that just makes you all the more courageous in what you do every day. So I provide this citation in recognition for service and action to sustain human life, thus contributing to the public safety. And I hereby confer the Medal of Merit to Matthew Boyce, and I'll walk over. To Timothy Mayer. And finally to Eric Bender. So again, I want to thank you, all three of you, for your service. Chief, would you like to close things out for you, or
Sure.
either of the chiefs like some final comments? No,
Chief,
I know
please.
how much you both like to talk.
We do have one last presentation. We have with us tonight Tyler and Jace Hardy. They were the victims that were rescued from the H Street apartment on the third floor. We asked them to come forward. We do have a little gift for his son. Hopefully his experience with fire trucks will be a little bit better. We do have a fire truck here for him that just to remind him of there's good people here in Carlisle, good firefighters, good first responders, and we welcome you to both of our stations to come visit at any time. So. We got the one that makes a lot of noise too. So, and to the other first responders here tonight, your work that day is very much appreciated. What the work that you do every day in our relationship to Carlisle Barracks and the Company 41, 45. I appreciate in Carlisle EMS the things that you do every day here is remarkable, and we appreciate everything that you do. But for the ones that are standing here front tonight, congratulations, and we appreciate your fine work. Again, thank you.
Chief, do you want? Chief.
Yeah, we should.
Yeah. Why don't you get the Can we get some photos? Come on up, Corporal Merritt. Well, we have council come down, so you're not creeping in the back of the. Yeah, let's all. I'll go ahead. Let's all.
Oh, we're supposed to be there? We weren't sure.
Thank you all.
I know. It was so close. Good. It was good. He made it to the end. He did a good job.
Okay. Next, we have an opportunity for citizens and visitors to be heard. We didn't have anybody else scheduled in advance. Is there anybody here in Borough Hall who would like to provide any comment on any issues facing the borough? Madam Secretary, do we have anybody by Zoom? We do not. Okay. Moving on, I will entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda. Is there any such motion?
So moved.
Motion by the Deputy Mayor. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Stube. Any comment? And I'm sorry, I skipped the one important part. Is there any item that anybody would like to have removed from the consent agenda now that we have a motion? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on. I'll call the question. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. The motion passes. So that takes care of the white pages of the agenda. Moving on to the regular agenda, there are no table continued and recurring items, no reports from elected officials. And moving on to reports from committees under public safety, I move that council adopt an ordinance establishing a temporary parking ban affecting certain borough streets in conjunction with Carlisle Productions 2023 schedule of events. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Hicks. Any comment? This is a roll call, please, Madam Secretary.
Mr. Hicks?
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Landis?
Aye.
Ms. Mellon?
Aye.
Ms. Perry?
Aye.
Mr. Stubbe?
Aye.
And Mayor Schultz?
Aye. The motion passes. Next, I move the council authorize the closure of the patio of First Presbyterian Church at High and Hanover Streets, sidewalks of North and South Hanover Streets, and East and West High Street sidewalks, one block out from Hanover and High, and first block of West Dickinson Avenue on Wednesdays from 2 o'clock p.m. to 5 o'clock p.m. beginning January through April 2023 and November 2023 through April 2024, along with May through October 2023 from 3 o'clock p.m. to 7 o'clock p.m. for the farmers market on the square, sponsored by the DCA. Approval is contingent upon the receipt of a valid certificate of liability insurance form naming the borough of Carlisle as an additional insured and the applicant reimbursing the borough 100% of the variable and 10% of the fixed costs associated with this event. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Hicks. Any comment? I'll call the question. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. The motion passes. Next, I move that council approve 3 special events applications submitted by DCA involving street closures as follows. Ford Parade, June 3rd, 2023, from 7 o'clock p.m. to 9 o'clock p.m. The streets to include Carlisle, which Carlisle events will line up vehicles at the Expo Center. Parade will follow Pitt Street to the intersection of Hanover and High Streets. Vehicles will be parked on Hanover Street between South and North Streets and on High Street between Pitt and Bedford Streets. The Corvette Parade, August 26, 2023, from 7 o'clock p.m. to 9 o'clock p.m. Vehicles will line up at the Expo Center. Parade will follow Pitt Street to the intersection of Hanover and High Streets. Vehicles will be marked on Hanover between South and North Streets and on High Street between Pitt and Bedford Streets. And the Harvest of the Arts, September 23rd, 2023, from 10 o'clock a.m. to 5 o'clock p.m. Streets to include High Street from the intersection of Hanover Street at the Town Square to College Street. Approvals are contingent upon PennDOT approval. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Hicks. Any comment? I'll call the question. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. The motion passes. I move the council approve a special event application and street closure request for a New Year's Eve celebration sponsored by the DCA from 9 o'clock p.m. December 31st, 2023 to midnight, January 1st, 2024. The street closure includes High Street from the intersection of Pitt Street to the intersection of High and Hanover Street. Approval is contingent upon the receipt of a valid certificate of liability insurance naming the borough of Carlisle as an additional insured and the applicant reimbursing the borough 100% of the variable cost and 10% of the fixed costs associated with this event. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Hicks. Any discussion? I'll call the question. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. The motion passes. That concludes my report on the Public Works.
I make a motion for council to authorize renewal of the annual service contract with Rhythm Engineering to provide technical support and InSync software updates for the adaptive traffic signal system installed throughout the borough along the Hanover and High Street corridors.
A motion by Council Perry for the renewal of the annual service contract with Rhythm Engineering. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Stube. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. The motion passes.
I move for council to approve the purchase of the chlorination equipment for the Carlisle Water Treatment Plant from Environmental Service and Equipment Company Incorporated, Marcus Hook, PA, for a cost of $41,223.62 through the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania's Cooperative Purchasing Co-Stars Program.
Motion by Council Perry for the purchase of chlorination equipment for the Carlisle Water Treatment Plant. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Stube. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. The motion passes.
Next, I move to amend the February 11, 2021 engineering services contract with Gannett Fleming Incorporated to include additional easement permitting and environmental compliance engineering services for the 2023 water transmission main replacement project for a not to exceed amount of $29,800, subject to the borough solicitor's satisfactory review and approval of amendment.
Motion by Councilor Perry to amend the February 11, 2021 engineering services contract with Gannett Fleming regarding the 2023 water transmission main replacement project. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Stube. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. The motion passes.
I approve. I'm sorry, I'm getting caught up. I'll make a motion for council to approve change order numbers 6 and 7 to the 2022 water main replacement contract to reflect changes in work from the scope included in the contract, decreasing the total contract by $11,046.70.
Councilor Perry makes a motion to approve change order number 6 and 7 to the 2022 water main replacement contract. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Stube. Any discussion?
Only that it's rare that the change order is a decrease, so that's wonderful.
Hearing nothing further, I'll call the question. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. The motion passes.
And last, I move the council adopt a resolution authorizing the donation of surplus personnel property in the form of various glassware from the borough's environmental laboratory that is no longer needed by the laboratory and has little monetary value. The donation would be made to the Carlisle School District's High School Science Department.
Motion by Councilor Perry, a resolution authorizing donation of glassware from our laboratory to the high school. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Stube. Is there any discussion? I'll call the question. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. The motion passes.
And that concludes my report.
Okay, sustainability and community planning.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have 3 items for this evening involving 2 different subdivision issues. The first, I move that council consider approving a minor subdivision plan and waiving all of the requirements of the borough subdivision ordinance for the proposed adjustment of parcel boundaries for 2 developed lots at 241 to 245 Graham Street.
Motion by Councilor Hicks for the approval of a minor subdivision plan. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by the Deputy Mayor. Is there any discussion?
I do have one quick comment. This is a positive comment for future planning. I don't usually go to the zoning hearing board meetings, but I did actually attend this one, and this is one of the reasons why I think that our work now, looking at our zoning and making some upgrades, is crucial because it's such a small request, and I understand that our zoning is to keep everything in order by our planning. But I think that small requests like this are somewhat excessive on our residents, to ask them to have to make the case on 2 buildings that they own to adjust the boundary line in a very small way. So I appreciate that we are working on it, and I'm hopeful that we're about to approve this without any further setback. But But this is the reason why when we are looking at our zoning and making tweaks, it's actually thinking of the residents and how it impacts them. So I just want to say thanks for the folks that are working on this with us.
Okay. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say nay. Motion passes.
Before I move on, just want to get guidance from the solicitor that we will treat the next as two separate motions, independent of each other. Correct. Two different. Thank you. Okay, in that case, I move council grant the waivers of SALDO requirements for the submission of a preliminary subdivision land development plan, and secondly, requiring a public outreach meeting for the proposed development at 1275 Rittner Highway.
Councilor Hicks makes a motion for the waivers of the subdivision land development ordinance requirements for submission of preliminary subdivision plan and requirement of public outreach meeting for 1275 Rittner Highway. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by the Deputy Mayor. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say nay. Motion passes.
Thank you. And lastly, in the same subdivision issue, I move that council approve a final land development plan for proposed flex fast tank filling building addition at 1275 Rittner Highway, submitted by Site Design Concepts on behalf of Carlisle Construction Materials in the I-1 zone, general industrial zoning district, subject to the applicant's acceptance and satisfactory resolution of the conditions listed herein. I'm going to go ahead and delineate those for everyone's education. Is to provide the borough with a copy of the National Pollution Discharge Elimination System permit minor amendment for the site once the amendment is issued by the Cumberland County Conservation District, and the second one being to indicate if additional site lighting is proposed, including any building mounted light fixtures. If so, provide a plan that indicates lighting meets illumination requirements.
There's a motion by Councilor Hicks with conditions for the approval of final land development plan for a proposed flex fast tank filling building addition at 1275 Rittner Highway. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by the Deputy Mayor. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say nay. The motion passes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That concludes my report.
Okay, thank you. Next is new business. So this is, if you didn't think what you want to say at the beginning of the meeting, this is the final opportunity for the public to provide any comment on borough issues. Again, anyone here in Borough Hall? Anyone by Zoom? Okay. Then reports from council members and staff. Annie Fisher Henson, please.
We have several updates tonight. Bear with me here. Spring break will begin tomorrow, March 10th, so campus will be a little bit more quiet than usual. Classes will then resume on Monday, March 20th. The next Let's Talk Climate conversation is called What Can We Learn About the Energy Transition from Germany, and will take place on Thursday, March 23rd at 12 p.m. in Althouse 08 on the Dickinson campus. This year's Joseph Priestley Award lecture is titled Opening the Infrared Treasure Chest with the James Webb Space Telescope, and is scheduled for Tuesday, March 28th at 7 p.m. in the Anita Tuven-Schlechter Auditorium. The Center for Civic Learning and Action is hosting a free youth development professional workshop on living in solidarity with LGBTQIA+ youth on Saturday, April 1st at 9 a.m. with facilitator Dr. Sarah Lear. Then Dickinson was recently awarded a grant from the Mellon Foundation to support the development of a center and enhanced curriculum on Native American and Indigenous studies. The 3-year grant will advance scholarship on these topics and give attention to the complicated history of the Carlisle Indian Industrial School. A director will be hired for the center this spring, and then the center itself will formally launch shortly thereafter. In December, Dickinson joined Second Nature's Climate Leadership Resilience Commitment, pledging to engage Dickinson students, faculty and staff, and members of Carlisle and nearby communities in learning together about the climate risks that we face, how those risks are changing, the ways in which we are both vulnerable to and resilient to the risks, and strategies to adapt and build resilience. If you're interested in participating in these activities, please contact Neil Leary, the Director of Dickinson Center for Sustainability Education, or Ken Schultes, Associate Vice President for Sustainability and Facilities Planning. And lastly, I just wanted to thank everyone that has contributed to the Student Ambassador Archival Project through your responses to all my inquiries. It's been wonderful to learn from each of you, and I'm looking forward to seeing the project come together. Thank you.
That's all. Councilor Mellon.
I just want to take a moment to thank the staff for coming out last night for a very successful town hall. I know it was a long night and another long day back to back. So just thank you for all the work that you do for our community.
Thank you, Councilor Stubbe.
I have nothing further this evening. Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, I was going to give my comments, but they just closed. So what I was going to talk about, the moment of silence before I knew we were going to have sort of a much more busier early part of the meeting than expected. I wanted to just recognize that this is Women's History Month, and have us reflect on the countless women in our country who have inspired us with their courage, resilience, and determination. From the suffragettes who fought tirelessly for women's right to vote, to the trailblazing scientists, artists, and athletes who shattered gender barriers and paved the way for future generations. Women have made remarkable contributions to every aspect of society, and we honor women throughout our history. Women like Sandra Day O'Connor, who paved the way for future women on our highest court, like Ruth Bader Ginsburg, who dedicated her career to fighting for gender equality and justice on the Supreme Court. Astronauts like Sally Ride, Judy Resnick, and May Carroll Jemison. Civil rights leaders like Harriet Tubman, Sojourner Truth, and Rosa Parks. And there are lesser known names. Jane Cook Wright, who was a pioneer of oncology and chemotherapy. Nellie Bly, who broke a glass ceiling with her investigative journalism and shed light on the horrors of mental institutions in the late 19th century. Margaret Hamilton, whose computer coding work on Apollo 11 was called the foundation for ultra-reliable software design. And we also remember the countless everyday heroes in our communities, including here in Carlisle, whether through the acts of kindness, advocacy, or leadership. From the mothers who work multiple jobs to provide for their families, to the activists who march in the streets for justice. Women inspire us every day with their strength, resilience, and compassion. And just ask us to take a moment again to think of the women who have made a distinct difference in our lives, and let it serve as a reminder of the important contributions that women have made and continue to make in our world. And may we honor the legacies by striving for a more equitable and just society for all. So as we go about the balance of our week and our days and months ahead, and our strategic planning coming up on Saturday beginning at 9 a.m. here in Borough Hall, let us be reminded by all the efforts that women and people across this country have made to make this a more just society. Deputy Mayor.
Thank you. That was very well said. So I only have one thing. It was actually on our consent agenda, and I'm just going to bring it out a little bit further, and that is one of my favorite events, and it is the Northside Ride, Community Bike Ride on April 1st, and Hope Station is going to be where we're going to end up at. We're going to have some tunes from my favorite radio station, WDCV. We're going to have a pancake breakfast starting at New Life Community Church. If you don't have a bike, we can hook you up. We can figure out how to get a bike to you, all ages. It's a slow ride. Don't worry about having to, prepare like health-wise for it. It's slow. It's easy. And we're gonna go all across the north side. I did see that New Cumberland Borough is doing something called Bike the Borough, and I feel like they were inspired by us. I mean, it rhymes and it's all nice and everything, but anyway, we can thank the police for also continually being partners with us. We have EMS and our fire police assist us as well. So I will ride with you. Please come out if you can, anyone that's actually listening, but also just tell anyone that you know, because it's like a little parade. It's a bike parade across town, real slow and fun. So that's what I wanted to tell everyone. So it starts at 9, but that's for breakfast. We roll out around 10:15, so you got a little bit of time, and you can get your bike fixed up too.
On April Fool's Day.
April Fool's Day.
Ri-
That's right.
Riding fools.
That's right. All right, that's it. Thank you.
Councilor Hicks.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I just wanted to highlight one of my heroes in honor of Women's History Month was Admiral Grace Hopper. She was an American computer scientist, mathematician, and United States Navy Rear Admiral. One of the first programmers of the Harvard Mark I computer. She was a pioneer of computer programming who invented one of the first linkers. Hopper was the first to devise the theory of machine-independent programming languages, and the Flowmatic programming language she created using this theory was later called COBOL. And her claim to fame is she is actually the one who invented the word bug. When a computer that was mostly run on very high energy vacuum tubes had a malfunction, they actually pinned down the problem to literally a bug had short-circuited one of the connections, and the term is affectionately associated with her saying we debugged it. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Perry.
I don't have anything. I will say that I would like for us to recognize, like you, I would like for us to recognize the new Speaker of the PA House, Joanna McClinton. I think that's awesome. She's the first woman and first Black woman, so that makes me proud. So other than that, that's it.
Thank you. Borough Manager, anything for us? All right. Mr. Solicitor. Okay, thank you. Then this meeting is adjourned. Thank you all.